Moms have got to decenter men too, because your sons will treat you like crap and every woman they meet. Okay, so this made me so bad because I feel so sorry for this woman, and I'm also like, why are you doing this at the same time? Now, before I get into it, y'all, I give men so much crap on my page, but I also talk a lot about the way women, we have to unlearn this stuff. As a recovering cool girl and someone who enabled the very bad behavior of so many men in my life, mostly towards me, but even towards other women, other people, we have got to do our part in deconstructing this crap. It's not our fault that we think this way. Patriarchy taught us this, or our family systems taught us this, maybe our dad or our mom or whatever, all right? It's not our fault that this is our default, but we do have to fix this. Because just look at this mother. So she says, I've raised 2 sons without financial help from their father. Okay, so we got a single mom raising 2 boys by herself. You know how much I love single moms. I was raised by a single mom. I have so much respect for single mom. But I just want you to pay attention. Would she have done this to her daughter? I don't think so. I'm not saying never, but we know that women treat their sons, oftentimes ones who have not really been decentering men, they treat their sons very different than they would ever treat their daughters. I don't know any mom who would let their daughters get away with this. By the way, I am not letting dad off the hook. I literally spend like 75% of my time talking about what all men are doing wrong. But we have stuff to do. Stop enabling men to treat us like crap, including your own son. Look at this. Okay. So this mom has already put her oldest son through college. He's 23 now. He's working a minimum wage job. And he finds it tedious. I mean, that's relatable. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, wait until you hear the rest of this. But he's stuck with it while he looks for better opportunities. I highly doubt he's looking for better opportunities, to be honest. He lives at home, and I don't charge him for anything. Even though his food, cell phone, car insurance, and car maintenance expenses all add up to substantial sums. So free rent, free utilities, free food, and you know this is a mom. How much, if she's doing all this, how much you want to bet she's making him do his own laundry or anything? Could be wrong, just saying. It wouldn't surprise me if he's literally doing nothing. Just goes to work, hangs out with his friends, comes home, is not an active member of this household. Is just a parasite. Before I go on, I'm not saying that you should kick your kids out at 18. I actually wrote a whole article about this for The Guardian several years ago. Why do we still shame adults who live with their parents? I made a whole case for how I hate, because this is really big in the U.S. Other parts of the world, they are not just like, you're 18, bye, you're done, on your own. All right, so just so you know, I'm not against parents helping out their children. But like I said, continue to ask yourself, would she be doing all this for her daughter? I don't think so. So she figures that he needs to save up funds. That's why she's doing all this, so he can save money. Save up funds so he can eventually become independent and move into his own apartment. Apparently, he does pay for gas, work lunches. That's interesting. Just work lunches and outings with friends, right? So much we are not seeing right here. I'd be curious what else she's paying for, but this is a very brief entry. So look at this. His younger brother is about to start college in 2 months, and I'm preparing for another 4 years of significant expenses. These costs will strain my budget. Although I work full time, I will add weekend hours to my schedule. Okay, so mom here is never going to have a day off, works all week, and then now going to take on weekends. She can help pay for her second child's college education, which, as we know, I'm assuming this is in the U.S. because it's in the New York Times. We know that college is so stupidly expensive, unlike pretty much anywhere in the world. Maybe there's a few other countries, but I've never seen anything like it is in the U.S. Never going to get a day off. Has a second kid, going to start college, okay? 4 years, next 4 years are going to suck. She lives in Los Angeles. So we know how there's a housing crisis there. It's very expensive. That's where I moved from before moving to Europe. I was paying like $1,100 to sleep in a basement apartment with no kitchen, and I had to wash my dishes in the sink, in the shower, and I cooked on a hot plate. And it was actually a beautiful apartment. I loved it, but it was $1,100, and that was before. Now it's going for like way more. Just for context, this is LA. So she's talking about how, there's a large unhoused population in LA. We know there's Skid Row. I mean, it's such a gross example of like capitalism at its worst, right? So recently her son, the older son, who's living at home with no expenses basically, drove by a homeless woman with two small children and stopped to give her some money. He didn't have cash, so instead he got her cell phone number so he could send her a payment on an app. He sent her $1,000, nearly half his savings. Now, to be clear, I have nothing wrong with what he did, but this wasn't his money. And I really don't even think his motives were good. Okay, we'll get into this later on, but just look. He described this incident to me at the end of the day, and he said he knew that I'd be proud of him because you've raised me to care about people who have less than us. And so she's all like about to cry. She's like, I'm so proud I raised a good-hearted person, and I'm proud of his generous spirit, but I'm frustrated because he gave away his savings when he could have actually saved up or contributed to the expenses that she's covering. Just like, look at the way she's talking about. I mean, I would be so pissed. But do you see how she just keeps making excuses? Like, I'm so proud. He's like a generous person. La 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 la. But I'm kind of mad. Am I allowed to be mad? She's like, it seemed impulsive and irresponsible. And she felt like the money that he gave away wasn't entirely his own. Because he gave it was a result of me working hard to cover most of his expenses. Look at this. I know this is the wrong way to feel. You know, she feels bad that she's mad at him. You know, I really love examples like this because it gets into the mind of women who are like making excuses for men all the time, being like, yeah, but maybe, you know, if he's a good person. She's like, I couldn't sleep that night. She's like, am I a doormat? Who's raised a son who has like no sense of personal responsibility. So she basically realized she needs to start charging him. So you can charge him 50% of his costs, including like insurance, cell phone, and a portion of the grocery bill. I don't want these charges to seem like I'm punishing him for his kindness, but I worry that he won't develop a sense of financial responsibility unless he pays for at least some expenses. Should I have reacted differently? I swear, this reminds me of like every single Am I the A-hole post where the men are like, I'm cheating on my wife. I hate my daughter. I've got a secret family. Big stuff. And they're like, am I the a-hole? And then women write in and they're like, well, am I the a-hole for being mad that I'm being exploited and coerced, you know? Okay, so the ethicist guy or whatever at the New York Times, I don't always agree with this person, but basically they were like, yeah, yes, it's his money, but for him to give away half his savings without consulting the person who's supporting him, he doesn't struggle, now is facing looming expenses, yeah, that isn't cool. And then this part right here, being a member of a household carries responsibilities of mutual concern and care. Not only is this man right on track to marry a woman at some point, because he probably will, even if he hates her, and basically see him as just like kicking back, relax, and let her take care of everything. Like because of patriarchy and the way it has conditioned all of us, but the way it has made men so entitled and selfish and lazy, whoever dates this man is so screwed. Unless like mama stops doing this and also he like works on himself. I mean, he's basically going to become his dad. I didn't even know anything about his dad. Dad literally did nothing to help raise those kids or even financially contribute to them. And she's paying for college all by herself too. Like, fork their dad. That son is going to be just like his dad. So they go on to say, you're right to worry about his impulsive act and suggest that he seems not responsible with his resources. And the way he's self-admiring when he describes it. And almost sounds like moral grandiosity when reflecting on this amazing thing he did. Aren't you going to be proud of me, Mom? And this is the part right here. Basically, he's like, you should really wonder how intent he really is at securing his own apartment and living independently. And that's exactly what I thought when I read this piece. This guy doesn't care about the unhoused. Maybe a little part of him does. He is just in no hurry to move out and take care of himself. That's why he doesn't have a better job. I'm not saying that there's not a lot, like that the job market doesn't suck. But he has no reason to get a better job. He has no reason to save. He has no, like, he doesn't care. Best case scenario, he's impulsive and lacks discipline, whatever. But we know men. Right? We know men by now. We know that they love to exploit the free labor of women. My guess is he's going to stay exactly where he is until he finds a girlfriend. assuming that he dates women. And the moment he finds a girlfriend, he's got a new mommy. These men will exploit their own mothers. You know, a lot of factors can play into women babying their sons. They're outside of my scope, but enabling sons while being hard on daughters, not fair.